Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another episode of The Cycle. I am your host, Mike Maher. I am joined once again by Kelly Kirby, and this is actually going to be our last episode of the season, at least in terms of the in-season content. We're going to come back in a few weeks and do kind of a season recap, look ahead to 2026, but with everyone in head-to-head leagues, or not everyone, most people in head-to-head leagues having their championships next week, and if you don't, and if you're playing that final week as your championship week, you need to talk to your commissioner and fix that because no one should be playing the final week in any league. And so we're here. We're going to close things out. We're going to talk about start sit and decisions for the final week plus of the season. If you're in Roto, that last week still matters. But we're going to be hyper focused on next week and try to close things out and get you guys a championship. And with that, Kelly, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm a commissioner in a home league that goes all the way through the last week, and I tried to change it, and it was like I had asked to change a holy tradition that could not possibly go away. And I'm like, okay, well, if you all want to figure out that mess, like, knock yourself out, and they do. It's kind of crazy. So
I hate that. I hate that you would play like a whole season and then.
Have to start.
Ohtani sitting 3 times the final week, you just lose your championship. And you're like, awesome. Right. This was a great use of my time for 6 months.
Yep.
Yeah, that's brutal. Obviously in Roto, you play the whole season. Even if it gets wacky at the end, you have so much built up, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, you should change that. You should just do it anyway and don't tell anyone. Or you should just, like our company league, just end the year in May.
Exactly. Like 4 weeks is a good sample size. Let's call it good.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say, we're going to get into some start-sit decisions. I tried to pick some interesting names that, either players who are definitely on your team or players who may be on your IR or who, could be available in certain leagues and just kind of talk about whether or not you want to start them in the final week. But I will also say, obviously, there are a bunch of you out there with your own lineups, with your own specific players, with your own specific start-sit questions. And so toss them in the comments and we'll reply over the weekend and help you out because, we don't have enough time to go through everyone's potential lineup because there are like 300 players. All right. With that, let's jump right in. Oh, I should also say bad hosting by my job. Or by me. I keep starting and stopping, but this is going to be a different episode. I kind of already teased that, but normally we do like a rounding the bases with 4 different mini segments. Then we jump into waivers and we jump into streaming targets. We're going to do all of that in rounding the bases. So all 4 of our bases this week are going to be focused on start sit, players to add, streaming pitchers. It's all just going to be one big episode right off the bat. And so let's kick it off with first base, start sit decisions. And I went through to start this. I went through our hitter matchup rater on the FantasyPros.com my playbook tool. And I looked at the top teams to target for hitters, or hitters with not necessarily the best, the teams to target, not necessarily with the best hitters, but with the best matchups. And so the top 5 teams with the best matchups for their hitters facing opposing pitchers are the Diamondbacks, Braves, Tigers, Rangers, and Marlins. And the teams with the worst pitching matchups, the Dodgers, Rays, Guardians, Astros, Giants, and Royals. And so just as you're kind of filling out your lineups, if that can be a tiebreaker or, you're kind of deciding between a few players, if they're on one of those first 5 teams, it's probably better than if they're on one of those second 5 teams. Obviously, that covers a lot of players, but, especially in, focusing on, week to week, this one final week, matchups matter a lot. So the first name I wanted to jump into is Adolis Garcia, who is returning from the IL. He has 6 games this final week, and he has pretty good matchups because he's on the Rangers. He's on that first list. And so, Kelly, I'll toss it. I have a bunch of names here. I think we have 9 names that I thought were interesting. So I'll toss it to you. Are you interested in starting Adolis Garcia? He's supposed to return, I believe, this weekend. But are you just ready to throw him right back in your lineup for the championship?
Oh. I mean, I'm looking at his yearly stats. I don't know. I think if I've been streaming an outfielder, right? If there's somebody that I picked up specifically for just 1 week or something, then yeah, I'll drop that guy and I'll put Garcia back in just because, he has the matchups that are worth it. He still has, I think, that the ceiling is higher, but he doesn't offer a ton of floor. So it's, it's a risk. But yeah, if I have somebody that I think is expendable that has been not great in the last 2 weeks, I would rather have Garcia.
Yeah, the thing I like about him is he's kind of a little bit of everything. Like there's some power, there's some speed, and he's going to hit in the middle of that lineup. And his season-long numbers are a little bit down for him, but he did miss some time, and so over the course of a full season, it would be pretty similar to what he did last year. But in 125 games, he has 18 home runs, 13 stolen bases, 235 average. He batted 224 last year. And so those home runs and steals, that's a pretty good pace considering 125 games. But also in August, in 19 games in August, he batted 288 with 3 home runs and 3 stolen bases. So he was doing pretty well before missing time. And so that makes it a little bit intriguing, but I do get nervous. It's such a small window you have here. He's just coming off the IL. Mm-hmm. If he comes off and he is rusty at all, it's terrible. It could just ruin your week. So that, like you said, it's kind of like a desperation move. He's very intriguing, but also there's risk there. Mm-hmm. This next one is interesting for a different reason because he's been start and forget in your lineups all year. But now we're talking about 1 week. What about Alex Bregman, who I looked at a lot of hitters over the last 2 weeks. I look at that throughout the season, and over the last 2 weeks, he has a 155 batting average. He's 270th in VBR. 270, that's bad. You want to be like the top, 20, 40 of those 50. 270 is bad. Our filter only goes to 300 until you have to adjust the filter. So 270 out of 300, not good. Over the last 2 weeks, he does have a top 10 hitter matchup, and he has 6 games though, and so it seems kind of ridiculous to consider benching him for the final week. But also the numbers for 2 weeks have not been good. So, and he's probably not going to run too, considering what he's been doing all season. Mm-hmm. So are you considering, it's also the weakest position in fantasy. So you might just not be able to bench Alex Bregman. But what about you? I assume there's some concern there, but you're maybe leaving him in your lineup, probably leaving him in your lineup.
Yeah, it's the third baseman thing. Who do you have that could possibly replace, again, the potential that he has? His second half has not been great at all. He hasn't homered since August. I know we're only 11 days into September, but it's been really ugly. So again, it's still Alex Bregman. If he has a top 10 hitter matchup, I'm going to roll with it. He's in a pretty decent lineup. They are playing for something, so he will play. I think, I don't believe that there would be a lot of other people available that I would start over him. So I would roll with Bregman, but I wouldn't like it.
What if it's what we talked about a couple of weeks ago? What if it's the loss of Roman Anthony? What if it's just ruined everything in that whole lineup?
Well, there's definitely that karma situation or whatever. Somebody made the universe mad, but I feel like Bregman is still your best option.
Yeah, I think if you have him, it's we talked probably a month or so ago at this point about the back and forth of going into the playoffs of the dance with who brung you or the getting out of a bad relationship, and this, despite the recent performance, it feels more like a dance with who brung you situation than a bad relationship. What about a different third baseman who maybe has been a very tumultuous relationship for years? What about Royce Lewis, who, let me pull up the stats. I have over the last 2 weeks, 13th in VBR, 269 batting average, 4 home runs, and so he's doing one of those hot streak things that he does when he's upright. But what if he gets hurt on Monday and you just don't get a third baseman for the entire week? So are you taking the risk with starting Royce Lewis, or are you avoiding him?
Yeah, it's actually interesting, right? If you had Royce Lewis and Alex Bregman, this is a toss up, honestly, because Lewis has been doing a little bit better. Oh, that's a good question. Which one would you pick? Yeah. If you, if Royce has been hanging out in your IL spot all season, but yeah, I think I wouldn't mind rolling with him. Again, when we're talking about weekly versus non-weekly leagues, that's obviously a much bigger roll of the dice, but his second half has been significantly better, more power. He's scoring runs. He's hitting, he's batting people in. So I'm not quite as afraid to start him. But yeah, I mean, he could pull a thumb muscle on Monday, and then that would be the end of it. So, but I think between the two, I would honestly, I would consider. I think I would start Royce, which is surprising. But now that I've said that, that's where I'm at.
Well, here's the other thing that could be a tiebreaker. So Bregman's been cold. Lewis has been hot. The Twins they are 24th in the hitter. I have to look up the actual name of this. I keep butchering the name. The weekly hitting matchups, but I think it's like the hitter matchup planner, something like that. But we'll just call it hitter matchups. It's 24th, which is not good. It's toward the bottom. Mm-hmm. But he does have 7 games. However, of those 7 games, one of them is a doubleheader, so there's a decent chance he's not going to play in one of those games. So it's probably more like 6 games. And they get the Yankees and the Guardians. So it's Carlos Rodon, Schlittler, Luis Heel, Tanner Bybee, Gavin Williams, and then we're not sure who the Guardians are going to start at the end of the week. So like not like the worst matchups, but not the best either. Whereas Bregman gets 6 games against the Athletics and Rays, at the Athletics, at the Rays, so 2 good ballparks, and he gets Jeffrey Springs, Barnett, JT Ginn, Hauser, Pepio, so pretty good pitching matchups. That's
I would like Bregman if he had more lefties. I think and I always think JT Ginn is a lefty, and I don't think he is.
He's not. He's right.
So, but that's okay because I think I always think Lamar Jackson's a lefty in football. So I can't seem to memorize any of these things. But yeah, I mean, I think with those ballparks, then maybe I would flip my choices. But it would definitely if there were 3 lefties that Bregman was scheduled to face, then yeah, he would bounce back in. And I think all of Lewis's games are at home, and I live here, and it's not warm. So I would, if he gets to start in Tampa outdoors, I'm now again flipping my position. I'm an excellent analyst at this. I really stick with my job, but yeah, I think I'd go back to Bregman then, given where he's going.
I did misspeak though. He is at Tampa. I said he was at the Athletics. I think he's home against the Athletics, but not that that's a bad thing. Fenway's not a terrible place to hit either, especially for him. He kind of is made for that ballpark.
Yep.
This is another interesting one. We've talked about him a bunch because it's just a roller coaster relationship. What about Trent Grisham? Over the last 2 weeks, 17th in VBR with a 188 batting average, but he has 5 home runs. So this is kind of, and why don't we go ahead and group him together with Colson Montgomery? Because in terms of what you're looking for, it's kind of the same thing, and it's risk and reward and boom and bust. And are you just going to roll the dice for the power potential and know that it could blow up in your face? Or are you just avoiding it for maybe a lower ceiling, higher floor option with either Trent Grisham or Colson Montgomery? And I'll pull up Montgomery's stats real quick because he's been doing ridiculous things for a while now. Over the last 2 weeks, 39th in VBR with 4 home runs, but batting .217. So kind of, that's why I wanted to group them together. Kind of the same thing. Like you could get power unless they just evaporate. So it's are you taking that risk in the championship week, or are you trying to avoid those names if you can?
So in head to head, what I like to do when I'm in the playoffs and then for sure championship week is kind of look at my previous matchups against whoever I'm facing, right? And in this case, I would look at it and be like, do I have I won home run category against them, or is that where they shine and I should look at someone, I should try to win average and runs or whatever. So that's where I would start with that. If you've lost home runs to the person every time you've played them, then no, I wouldn't roll with these guys. I would find a higher floor. But otherwise, yeah, they have that power potential. So we talked about, I'm I don't know how I'm benching them if that's what I need. But if you don't think you can win that category, then go for the other ones.
That's fair. What about someone who's been hot for a pretty extended period here, but also the idea of starting him in my championship lineup, I just can't, if it goes poorly, I don't know if I could live with myself all winter knowing that I did this to myself. But Joe Adell, and I'll pull up his numbers too. So Joe Adell has been on a heater. I'm not even going to pull up all of his numbers. I'll just pull up the last 2 weeks. But over the last 2 weeks, batting .311 with 5 home runs. And if I went further, it would be even more, numbers that looked like that, but for a longer stretch because he's been hot for a while. And he probably won some people their matchups a couple weeks ago. But are you going to actually put Joe Adell in your championship week lineup?
I would feel better about myself if I lose in the championship having Joe Adell in there than I would with Trent Grisham in there. I mean, Adell has 35 home runs. His second half stats are pretty similar to his first half stats. So it's not like he's dropped off a cliff or gotten hotter or colder. I think, yeah, I would honestly, I wouldn't actually feel all that bad. Like I'd be like, he was the best option in the outfield at the time. If I start Trent Grisham and he sits against lefties, or he, does this 155 homers once thing, Adell just, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but Adell offers more consistency,
Wow.
which I never really thought I would say. I figured he was always going to be hot or not, but yeah, so I would have no issue starting Adell.
And Adell gets 6 games, and 3 of them are in Coors Field. So not the worst place to wrap up your season in Coors Field.
No.
This is a name who I was high on coming into the season, and it has gone poorly. It actually looked really good for like a week, and it's looked really bad since. But Tommy Edman, he is coming off the IL. He batted 5th in his return, and I don't know. I guess it would have to be a deep league. Are you interested at all in Tommy Edman? Just because I had to include him because I roster him everywhere, and I'm like, whoa, he's back. It's too late for me, but he's back. I assume this is going to have to be a deeper league situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see you starting him and running that risk in 12-team Rota. But what if it's like a 14-team league? Are you willing to dig that deep into Tommy Edman?
No. I don't like. I mean, you want to talk about somebody that could get injured on Monday and be done for the week, like, or the Dodgers could do all sorts of weird things. So no, I'm not. I really don't have a lot of interest. I would stay with whoever I replaced him with.
Yeah, I had such high hopes just because, I liked him when he was with the Cardinals, and you were getting like home runs in the teens and then like 20 to 30 stolen bases. And I was like, all right, sweet. He's going to the Dodgers and he's going to be in this lineup and they're going to use him all over the place. Like, he's going to have a ton of eligibility and play all the time at all these different positions because that's what Dave Roberts likes to do. And 2024, he missed, a very large chunk of the season. And it happened again this year. And he got off to like a good start and not so great recently. And so I agree. I think even in a deep league, I don't think the ceiling is high enough to justify the risk of the floor there. And so, yeah, I would have to stay away as much as it hurts my heart, as much as I want to, as much as I want Tommy Edman to be good. Mm-hmm. What about Austin Hayes, who's kind of had, a weird year, which is maybe just a weird career. Over the last 2 weeks, he's 60th in VBR with 250 batting average and 4 home runs. And that's kind of just like what he does. 250 and 4 home runs is like an ideal week if you have Austin Hayes. And in terms of matchups, he has 7 games, and his matchups are 16th, so right in the middle. 17 games against 3 against the Cardinals and 4 against the Cubs. And so it's not like the worst pitching matchups, not the best. But I don't know, 7 games, 3 of them at St. Louis, 4 of them at home against the Cubs. Austin Hayes, I feel like I would be intrigued, but again, like we keep talking about these players who could just get hurt on Monday. He's definitely in that conversation as well. But I think I'd be more interested in Hayes just because I think there's like some good run production and power potential there. But what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I'm looking at his splits. He's actually homered more on the road than at home, which seems wacky to me. But yeah, I mean, I think he does kind of offer you that upside, and I don't hate it. If he's got how many games did you say? Does he have 7? I would play him. I would start him. Yeah, I wouldn't have any issue with that because I think he can contribute across like all of the categories. And I feel like he will, and the Reds are going to keep batting him. He's been batting pretty high, I think, right? So yeah, I think that I would start him. Yeah, he's been batting 4th most regularly. I think you're muted.
I was muted. I muted myself to drink a glass of water, and I didn't go back. That's the first time I did it all season. I went almost the whole season without doing that, and then I did it. So how about this? This is what I started to say while I was muted. How about you have one utility spot left, and you have to decide between, obviously this is hard to imagine because you would need another good third baseman. But let's say you have Royce Lewis and you're starting him at third base, and you have a utility spot, and you have to decide between Alex Bregman and Austin Hayes. Are you considering Austin Hayes?
No.
No? Okay. No. All right. No. I thought we were going to go in that direction there.
Yeah, I think I don't like Austin Hayes enough. He is interesting
as a person.
No, I don't know him as a person, but I think that in general, this is one of those guys that I kind of stay away from because it's like he just doesn't do. He just never seems to do anything when I have him, and then you drop him, and then he goes off. And again with Bregman, that's the dance situation to me. So.
Yeah, that's the Taylor Ward phenomenon with Austin Hayes. Okay, one more, and it's in that Alex Bregman category, but Jose Altuve. Over the last 2 weeks, batting 160, 243rd in VBLR, so even worse. Actually, no, not worse than Bregman. Bregman is, what was he, 270? 270, so not worse, but he's 243, so in the same neighborhood. And a bottom 5 matchups rating. So are you considering starting or benching Jose Altuve? Second base is a little bit deeper than third base, assuming you're playing him at second base. Is he outfield eligible? He is, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Because he played outfield most of the season, but it didn't really, it wasn't great out there.
Yeah, no, he is. He's played like 47 games out there. Yeah, I'm looking again at his splits, and like August he batted 231, and September so far in 9 games he's batted 118. That is a tough one. I think their schedule, the fact that it's like a bottom 5 matchup rating, I would consider like, who else do I have? Who's out on waivers? Not because this isn't like, I don't want to break up with the one I brought to the dance on that, but I mean, he hasn't just like not been good for 5 minutes. Like this has been a full second half of the season that he's been kind of worthless. So from a fantasy perspective. So yeah, if I have somebody that's a little bit more intriguing or has been more consistent, I would pick them up.
How about Jorge Polanco if he's out there? The last 2 weeks he's batted 333 with 4 home runs. He's consensus 41% rostered, so that's probably a little bit higher in most leagues because that's probably being dragged down by ESPN. No offense to ESPN. But he's probably available in like 30-40% of leagues. Are you any interest in Jorge Polanco?
Yes. Yeah.
Sweet.
I would take him.
What about Otto Lopez? 340 over the last 2 weeks, 3 home runs, and a stolen base.
I'd rather have Polanco.
What about Lopez or Altuve?
That one, I think I'd stick with Altuve.
Me too.
Yeah, that's when we go back to the, like, Otto Lopez isn't hot enough to take to the dance. So I'll just go back to Altuve.
He didn't get an invite to the dance.
Nope.
That's brutal. We are extremely excited to announce our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Everybody knows and loves Hard Rock hotels and casinos, and now you can use the top-rated Hard Rock Bet sportsbook to place your bets all NFL season and beyond. Hard Rock Bet is the only legal sportsbook in the state of Florida and is also available in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, with more states launching all the time. As we gear up for the NFL season, and we're now in week 2 of the NFL season, sign up for Hard Rock Bet and make a $5 bet, and you'll get a $150 in bonus bets if you win. Head over to Hard Rock Bet, sign up, and make your first deposit today. Payable in bonus bets, not a cash offer, offered in Seminole Tribe of Florida and Florida. Offered by Seminole Hard Rock Digital LLC and all other states. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, New Jersey, Ohio, Tennessee, or Virginia to play. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? In Florida, call 188-ADMIT-IT. In Indiana, if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Gambling problem? Again, question mark? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, New Jersey, Ohio, Tennessee, and Virginia. And I got to say, that was not bad for not reading it at all before I did that. I was expecting to mess up way more.
Yeah, no, you did good. I was able to like follow you and everything. So
yeah, pretty good speed too. If you're listening at like 1.5 or 2 speed like I do, that was even faster.
Yes.
All right, second base, and in a very clever move, I wanted to do second base as 2-start pitchers, 2 and 2. Brilliant, I know. And unlike has been the case for like what seems like most of the season, or at least the last month, We actually have a ton of 2-star pitchers this week who are good targets. And that's very good for your championship, especially if you're in something like a points league where those matter even more. And so I didn't include the 2-star pitchers who are like definitely rostered everywhere or like, must start studs. But even not including them, maybe they're not available, but maybe you've been like, toying with starting them or benching them or, yo-yoing back and forth. There are a bunch to consider. And so we have, if I go through the list, Jeffrey Springs, who, and I'll just run through the names and the matchups, if I can do it quickly enough. Jeffrey Springs is at the Red Sox and at the Pirates as of right now. Spencer Strider is at the Nationals and at the Tigers. He has actually been listed as a 2-star pitcher a bunch lately, but like it's never actually happened. But it does look like they have a doubleheader this week, so they have an extra game. Mm-hmm. So this might actually be the week it happens. He's just been saving it for your championship, so that's why. Kyle Bradish at the White Sox and against the Yankees at home. I don't know if he's actually going to make 2 starts, so I put an asterisk on this one. But Connelly Early, who we didn't talk about yet, but who looked really, really good the other night in his debut. A historic debut with 11 strikeouts. I don't know if you want to start a guy making his second and third major league starts in your championship. What's interesting is on the plus, it's a good and a bad. He just struck out 11 Athletics the other day. The good news is he faces them again. The bad news is they just saw him. And so I don't know if that's good or bad. So he gets the Athletics and then he's at the Rays. So kind of like high ceiling, low floor situation there, because it could just go very poorly. Although he did look very good with, a lot of secondary pitches working really well. Mm-hmm. Cade Horton, ya boy, is at the Pirates and then at the Reds. Jameson Taillon also on the Cubs. Same matchups at the Pirates, at the Reds. And then Jack Flaherty is an interesting one I wanted to include. He's had a year, I would say. I don't know what adjective to put in front of it, but he's had a year, 4.69 ERA. He's against the Guardians and against the Braves. And then Jack Leiter, much to Joe Pisapia's chagrin, is a 2-star pitcher in the championship with a 3.81 ERA at the Astros and against the Marlins. So I'll toss it to you. What do you think of that list? How great is that list? Well, let's start with Spencer Strider. Are you going to trust Spencer Strider for 2 starts in your championship?
I feel like that would be hard for me, but I don't mind his matchups. Like the Nationals do, I don't fear them at all, no matter what Josh Bell is doing. And going to Detroit, it puts him in a better spot there. So, yeah, I would, even though, like, there's really not a lot of excitement to him. I mean, even think about it, like, how weird is it that he's probably available in a lot of leagues? That's a long way to fall. But, yeah, so I wouldn't love it, but I wouldn't have a massive problem doing it if you're trying to, like, rack up innings or strikeouts.
Yeah, I think 2 starts is important, and one of those starts being against the Nationals is important. So I think that's helpful. What about Springs at the Red Sox and at the Pirates? He's had a year as well. Again, kind of a roller coaster. I don't know that I love him at Fenway. Well, what do you think?
No, in fact, I would. The fact that Bregman gets to face him is one of the reasons I was like, I'd go with Bregman because he gets Springs at home. So yeah, again, if I have to pick and set and I can't move him around, I don't love it with him. But if he could survive Boston, then yeah, that Pirates matchup looks really nice. So again, it depends on where you are, who else you have, but I would rather have Strider than Springs, obviously, at this point, based on matchups.
I should have made this like a Super Soaker to your head segment. I made you like pick one. What about Kyle Bradish? He is at the White Sox, so pretty good matchup. Then he gets the Yankees at home versus the Yankees. So does that second matchup, and also since returning, he's looked very good. Mm-hmm. Have you seen enough to be comfortable starting him in your championship, or does that second matchup against the Yankees scare you enough to not start him?
No, I'm fine. I would start him. He would be my Yeah, he was going to be one of my picks if I hadn't already started him until I figured out the magical situation I'm currently in this 2-start competition.
Sweet.
So,
And I assume Bradish clearly over Strider and Springs.
yeah, without question.
What about the youngster Connelly Early? Are you taking that risk? His 2 starts again. I'll repeat it. He's against the Athletics, who he just faced, and again dominated, but now facing again, which you never know if that's going to be like really good or really bad. And then at the Rays, and he is a lefty.
Yes, yeah. The lefty part kind of it neutralizes Nick Kurtz a little. Also, Fenway isn't great for lefties, but yeah, I'm okay. I also considered him for the 2-start competition just because I was like, well, if he's going to strike out 100 guys, I don't really care what else happens to him. So yeah, I would start him, but I would still prefer Bradish.
I haven't made a pick in the competition. Maybe I'll take him.
He's second.
So Bradish, Early, Strider, Springs so far?
Yep.
Okay. What about Cade Horton? And I'll redo his matchups again. I keep not doing that. At Pirates, at Reds.
Yeah, I would start him without any concern. I would put him behind Bradish and Early, I think, just because his strikeout rate isn't great, and but he's been really weirdly consistent. So yeah, so he's definitely on the list. I think I'd put him third at this point.
So we're Bradish, Early, Horton, Strider, Springs.
Yes.
Okay. Jameson Taillon, same matchups. I'll say them again. At Pirates, at Reds.
Do you want innings? I mean, if quality starts is a category, I think that's something Taillon kind of offers you. So I might consider it in that regard. Otherwise, I would put him under Strider. So I'm not a giant fan of, not even with the matchups, but just him as a pitcher. I don't think he offers you as much upside.
Okay, we got 2 more names. I'm going to keep repeating the order and see if I can get it right every time.
Okay.
Bradish, Early, Horton. Did you put Taillon in front of Horton? No, yeah. Bradish, Early, Horton, Strider, Taillon, Springs.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. What about Jack Flaherty? And his matchups are against the Guardians and against the Braves, home for both.
So there's the bottom of my list, Jeffrey Springs, and then Jack Flaherty's under that by 9 or 10 slots. I don't want anything to do with him. He's been too volatile. I had him on a couple of different teams. That was too much volatility and not in the championship. No way.
I would agree with that. And what about Jack Leiter? Who his matchups are, he's the last one on the list. Jack Leiter is at the Astros and against the Marlins.
I'm going to put him between. Okay, I don't know.
How about I read him off? Do you? I'll keep going with the names, and you tell me where he's going to slide in. So he's not going to be above Bradish.
Nope.
Connelly Early.
Mm-mm.
Cade Horton.
No.
Okay.
I don't like his matchup as much, and I don't like him.
Remember where the order is. Spencer Strider, I think, is next.
Yeah, I think I'd put him right under Strider.
Under Strider.
Yeah.
So final list, if I could do it one last time: Kyle Bradish, Connelly Early, Cade Horton, Spencer Strider, Jack Leiter, Jameson Taillon, Jeffrey. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Jameson Taillon, Jeffrey Springs, Jack Flaherty.
Yes.
Okay. Taillon threw me off at the end there.
Yeah.
I had Strider and Springs together for so long, and then I got thrown off at the end.
Sorry.
How dare you?
I know, it's awful.
All right, so those are 2-star pitchers. Let's jump over to third base, and I want to talk a little bit. We're going to split this, basically split third base and home base, home plate, home base, whatever you want to call it, together, and talk a little bit about streamers, hitter streamers and pitcher streamers. Obviously, if you're streaming pitchers, you're probably going to want to stream one of the names we just talked about because they have 2 starts, and 2 starts is better than 1, especially in a championship. Hitters, there's not a lot out there. But on the waiver wire, if you are desperate, there are some names who have been doing some things. And they're available or could be available for different reasons. The first name I'll toss at you, and I'll look up his last 2 week if I switch my tab back over, but Andrew Benintendi. And he's someone who has been doing some things. If I can pull up, and over the last 2 weeks, 7th in VBR with a 391 batting average and 5 home runs. And he is not rostered in a ton of places. Consensus roster percentage is under 10%. However, home runs is not necessarily a thing he's been known for in his career. Batting average has come and gone. Power, never really been his thing except for like one time. Are you starting Andrew Benintendi in your championship? And I'll look up his matchups before you answer. He gets filibuster. He gets he's on the White Sox. They have the 21st ranked pitcher matchups, and they are home for all 6 games against the Orioles and the Padres. So it's probably the Padres dragging down that rating. Mm-hmm. Because the Oriole matchup is not terrible.
No, not at all. Yeah, he's a weird one because versus lefties, he's batting 293. He doesn't have the same power, obviously, but yeah, I wouldn't mind streaming him if he's kind of hot and he's helping your batting average and he's going to get on base, and if Colson Montgomery can hit him in or whatever. Again, if we're just looking at next week, it's like I feel like he offers at least some upside if he's hot and it continues, which he appears to be. I would be okay picking him up and putting him in. Again, I think I'd rather have him than Grisham, which is an odd feeling, but
that's an interesting one. I guess I could juxtapose some of the other ones. What about Adolis Garcia? Do you want Adolis Garcia or Benintendi?
Yeah, I don't know. I really like Benintendi right this very second. Like he's got some pop, and it's the whole coming off the IL thing that bothers me for just put right into a lineup. So yeah, give me Andrew.
Speaking of coming off the IL, how about Nolan Arenado? Come on down. Do you want another third baseman to start in your final matchup?
Well, I mean, if you have to start a corner infielder, what are his matchups? Do you know? I don't have them.
His matchups are, if I pull them up, if I scroll over here, filibuster, 18th ranked matchup. He has 6 games against the Reds and the Brewers, all at home. So not great. The first matchup looks like it's going to be Zach Littell, then Andrew Abbott, and then Brady Singer. So 2 good, 1 okay. But then the Brewers are going to be tough. He's got Woodruff, Misiorowski, and then who knows who that third one is going to be, but they have pretty good pitching.
Yeah, no, I don't want him based on those matchups.
Yeah, also coming off the IL, like returning imminently. Like Monday could be his first game. No interest. Another interesting name potentially available who's been doing some things, Kyle Manzardo. Over the last 2 weeks, 42nd in VBR with 5 home runs. So he's probably a corner infield only power name you're looking for power. Any interest in Kyle Manzardo? And his matchups are... Every name I pick is like way up or way down on the list. I have to scroll every time. They can never just be on this. I have a huge monitor and I still have to scroll every time. 27th, so he has a bottom 5 matchup ranking. He does get Jack Flaherty because he is at the Tigers and at the Twins. At Tariq Skubal and at Pablo Lopez. Those are 2 reasons why he's getting dragged down on the the rankings right there. The Skubal start, you can pretty much toss that one out as you might as well not even play that day. Would probably be better if he didn't.
He probably won't.
Yeah, but 7 games. There is a doubleheader in there, so he might not play both. So probably more like 6 games. But yeah, you're selling out for power with him. But also at Detroit, not a great place for power. Not great pitching matchups. I'm not making the argument for you, but what do you think?
Yeah, the pitching matchups don't seem all that bad. Flaherty and Gibson Long are the 2 ahead of Skubal, so they're both righties. I wouldn't have any issue with that. And then, Pablo Lopez and then Joe Ryan is scheduled to go in the first game of that doubleheader, but then it's Ober and Woods Richardson. So they're nothing but righties there. So yeah, I mean, I assume he'll sit during Skubal if Cleveland has any interest in winning. But the rest of it, I actually don't have any trouble starting him. It's like, you're selling out for power, but I don't think those matchups are all that scary. So
All right. Now, as a Cubs fan, I imagine you know how good Dansby Swanson has been recently.
Hmm.
Would you, without looking, do you know where he is in VBR over the last 2 weeks?
I do not.
Sixth.
Sixth. Okay.
Six. So top six, 234 batting average, but 4 home runs and 5 stolen bases. So a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
And his matchups are, I don't have to scroll. It's still up because I was just at the Guardians. The Cubs are 2 spots ahead of him. I don't have to scroll.
Yeah.
20. His matchups are 23rd, so not great. And at the Pirates, which includes Paul Skeens,
Hmm.
and then at the Reds, which includes Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo. The other pitching matchups, not bad. Although Mitch Keller is, he's perfectly cromulent.
Hmm.
7 games. I don't know. Are you? I guess this would probably be utility only because it's very likely you have a better shortstop than Dansby Swanson.
Hmm.
But any interest in starting Dansby Swanson in the final week?
Yes, if you have a middle infield spot. No, I mean, I don't know how you're in the championship if he could be in your utility spot, but so yeah, I would kind of stay away from that. But if it was middle infield, I would take a look at it.
Maybe you made the championship because every week you just guessed right between Austin Hayes and Taylor Ward, and like that one good week that Matt Shaw had.
Yep.
Or like, maybe you just nailed it every week and you're just trying to nail it one last time. And could that time be Dansby Swanson?
I mean, it could, but he's still batting pretty low in that lineup. So I'm not overly sold.
I think this is the last one I have in terms of hitters before we jump over to single start pitchers. Or I guess there's one we're going to talk about. What about Ha-Seong Kim, who I think we talked about him a few weeks ago. He was taking over as the just starting shortstop for the Braves. And it seems like it's going okay to the point where, you could consider playing him in the final week. He's batting right in the middle of that lineup. He's batted 5th for most of his recent starts. He just moved up to 4th recently against a lefty. Mm-hmm. And let me split the partial seasons here. In 29 games with the Braves, batting .250 with 1 home run, and surprisingly no stolen bases. You would think you would get more stolen bases out of Ha-Seong Kim. In 24 games with the Rays, 2 home runs, 6 stolen bases. The no stolen bases with the Braves kind of gives me some pause, although it's a small sample size. But any interest in Ha-Seong Kim?
Yeah, but is that are the Braves not running as much? I obviously didn't look that up because that just came up. If he's not being given the green light to run, then that's not going to get better, in which case, no, I'm not overly interested. I would only want him for the potential runs and speed.
Well, Ozzie Albies has 2 stolen bases over the last 2 weeks, so he's running a little bit.
Okay.
They also have a top 5 matchup. They have 7 games, and 4 of them are against the Nationals, and then 3 against the Tigers. But I think they're missing Skubal in the Tigers series.
Yeah, they have to be if the Guardians are getting him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. No, the fact that he hasn't stolen a base with them doesn't. That's the only reason I would use him. So, no.
Yeah, I think that's another case similar to Tommy Edman, where while it's intriguing, I don't know that the ceiling is enough to justify the risk. Whereas with someone like Adolis Garcia, I think the ceiling is enough to justify the risk in some cases. With Ha-Seong Kim, probably not, because your ideal week is still like a pretty good week.
Yeah, your ideal week is he didn't hurt me. And if we're gonna pick up a shortstop, then I'd rather have Swanson. So that's where we sit with him.
All right, those were our hitter streamers, and if you have more, obviously, any more questions, obviously, toss them in the YouTube comments, and we'll get to it. And speaking of lineup decisions, struggling with lineup decisions, our lineup assistant recommends optimal lineup suggestions to maximize your team's performance each day or week. Just sync your league for tailored guidance based on your roster and league settings. Download the Fantasy Baseball My Playbook app or visit fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook to set your winning lineup today. And now let's close things out with some pitching streamers. So we obviously talked about a bunch about the 2-star pitchers who I think we both recommend if you're going to stream pitching in the championship, try it and see if you can get some of those 2-star pitchers. But you have a few single start streamers that you want to talk about. And so since I did not write these names down, why don't I just toss it to you to talk about the names that you wrote down?
All right, perfect. So yeah, I mean, obviously I like Bradish. I like the two starts. So I kind of skipped to the weekend to see if there was anybody, like, if you do get to pick up kind of in the middle of the week or for the weekend. Clayton Kershaw is going to be in San Francisco. I will never stop being amazed at how bad the Giants are against left-handed pitching. They are batting 214. They have a 279 on base percentage and a 353 slugging. So
Nice.
I mean, yeah, they are going to face the Diamondbacks in the first half of the week, and Eduardo Rodriguez is sitting there, but I don't know if I would start him. So that's my first one, and then a couple of Guardians because they're in Minnesota. So Parker Messick and Slade Cecconi.
My boy.
Yeah, and man, did he have a good start the other night. But
I know.
those
Heard it
are
here first.
those are the two Guardian pitchers that I'd be willing to be like, okay. And they also have the easiest matchup of the Twins pitchers. They've got the Woods Richardson and then probably Zebby Matthews on Sunday. So there's win equity there for sure.
Yeah, when we talked about all those like really exciting young pitchers a couple weeks ago, Messick was like on a tier like below all the ones we were excited about, and he went out and had like the best start of any of them because a lot of them took like a step back, which is unfortunate timing, especially if you were in the playoffs. But all still very exciting. I forgot to do our two-star pitcher competition earlier. I wanted to do it when we were talking two-star pitchers. Bad job by me. But in a perfect way to just close out the season, maybe this is better because we've ended every episode with our two-star pitcher competition. We might as well end the last episode of the season with it. And so just for a little bit of record keeping, we'll get this out of the way first. But it looks like I won last week again. Dylan Cease had 28.5 points against Drew Rasmussen, 18 points. I didn't tally up the reasons for those points because it seemed far enough for it to be obvious that we didn't need to argue about it. Which means the current standings are 10-7-2 with me in the lead. With right now, I have Logan Webb going and you have Brian Kenny Woo going. And this week, why don't you tell me who your final two-star pitcher is?
Yeah, I was looking. So I was, I was really used to looking for like kind of the lower, the lower group, like who's left, blah blah blah. And then I went back, and somehow Worm has not used Paul Skeens. So I will be using Paul Skeens for the last week, just to have some fun. He gets the Cubs and the Athletics at home. Now that I've picked him against my Cubs, he'll give up 7 runs or whatever. But otherwise, I mean, come on. So yeah, I'll take the Cy Young Award winner, at least the presumptive one, I think, no matter what Christopher Sanchez is doing. So yeah.
Oddly enough, I have also not used Paul Skeens, so you got him before I could. It may have just never really lined up that way for us, or if it did, like a couple times, we're like, let me save Paul Skeens. I don't want to burn him right now, and then we just never used him.
Right.
So I did not make a pick, which I said earlier, but it also looks like I'm going to win the competition either way.
Yep.
So why don't I just go out with a bang, and I'll just do Connelly Early. Maybe he won't even make 2 starts, so maybe it'll be just tossing the week away. But I'll do Connelly Early. And who is he facing again? Since I didn't
he gets the Rays and...
The Rays and the A's? A's and the Rays?
A's and the Rays. Yep.
A's and the Rays. That is not the abbreviation for Rays. All right, and that's pretty much all we have for today. And that's all we have for this season. But as I said in the beginning, if you have questions, we're here for you. Jump in the YouTube comments and we'll reply. Also, see us on Discord and we'll do our best to reply. FantasyPros.com/chat. There's a bunch of MLB channels in there. We're in there answering questions as often as we can. Anything else for you to close out the season?
I just want to say, if you do ask us in Discord, just tag us. I see those questions like specifically, and I try to answer. Anytime I'm tagged, I try to answer. So if you do have like this one or this one, please let us know, because we're just trying to kind of aim for that middle group. But if you have specific questions, let us just ask us. We like to respond to things. Yeah,
that's a good point. If you just toss it in there with a question, there are a ton of people in there, answering questions. Although now that we are really deep into the season, there are fewer baseball people answering questions. Whereas in April, you probably get 50 replies. But yeah, if you don't tag us, I'm probably not going to see it because even with tags, I get a ton of them a day. So I try to reply to what I can. But yeah, hop in the YouTube comments, hop in the Discord, and if you enjoyed this content this season, give us a rating, a review wherever you listen to your podcast. Apple, if you listen to podcasts on Spotify, so be it. We'll do it there too. I'm just kidding. I listen to Spotify as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we really appreciate it. It helps us grow the show. And like I said at the beginning, this is our last in-season episode, but we're going to shut it down for a couple weeks, and then I believe it's going to be, let me look at the calendar. I should have had this prep. October 2nd? Yeah, it's like the first Thursday in October 2nd. We're going to hop back in and do a season recap and look at 2026. I'm trying to convince Worm to hop back on. And I want to do an early 2026 mock draft and kind of take a look at like what the first 2 to 3 rounds are going to look like. But yeah. And also, if you have any ideas for what you want us to talk about on that show, let us know about that too. Well, that's all we have for today. That's all we have for this season. For Kelly Kirby, I am Mike Maher, and thank you for stopping by.